Good afternoon, everyone. This is Josh on this beautiful Sunday, and it is now time for episode 3 of my Gospel Reflection series. And I know that this is coming a little bit later, but I started up school again. I started up school this week, so my schedule is going to be a little wacky. Wednesdays, for the most part, will still work. I'll just have some schoolwork to do, but I'll get that first. And then when I'm in a hybrid course, so I physically have class 4 times in the semester. So on those days, I will do my reflection either the next day on Thursday or in the case like today on Sunday. So before we dive into the reading today, I want to recap last week's because let's face it, last week's was just a very different reflection. It was more of I used the reflection as kind of a little way to rant about and give my opinion about what's been going on recently, the whole Pennsylvania grand jury report, the McCarrick situation, and all of that. And I'm not gonna go over that any further. If you want, you can check out last week's episode by going. I'll get it in the description below for this episode, and and go from there. But to highlight last week's was from John's gospel after. It was the gospel after Jesus had said, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven, and you must eat my flesh and drink my blood." And a lot of his disciples were saying, "This is a hard saying. Saying who could understand this?" Basically, they were saying how can he say we have to eat his flesh? This is a hard saying. And a vast majority of them left and went back to their old ways. And Jesus looked at his 12 disciples and said, "Do you too wish to leave?" And Peter says, it basically says, "Who are we going to, if we leave you, who do we go to? We know and believe that you are the Son of God." So today's reading is Mark chapter 7, verses 1 to 8, 14 and 15, and 21 to 23. So we start with a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. When the Pharisees with some scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around Jesus, they observed that some of his disciples ate their meals with uncleaned, that is, unwashed hands. For the Pharisees, and in fact all Jews, do not eat without carefully washing their hands, keeping the tradition of the elders. And on coming from the marketplace, they do not eat without purifying themselves. And there are many other things that they have traditionally observed. The purification of cups and jugs and kettles and beds. So the Pharisees and the scribes asked, excuse me. So the Pharisees and scribes questioned him, why do your disciples not follow the tradition of the elders, but instead eat a meal with unclean hands. He responded and said, Well did Isaiah prophesy about you hypocrites, as it is written. This people honors me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching as doctrines human precepts. You disregard God's command, but cling to human tradition. He summoned the crowd again and said to them, Hear me, all of you, and understand. Nothing that enters one from outside can defile that person, but the things that come out from within, are what defile. From within people, from their hearts, come evil thoughts, unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, licentiousness, envy, blasphemy, arrogance, folly. All these evils come from within, and they defile. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. So today's Gospel, we have you have Jesus, you have the Pharisees and the scribes, trying to mess Jesus up, and try to prove that he's, not who he says he is, and all that. But what I think how I see it, when I read this particular reading, I see that, we, on the outside, we all certainly look fine and happy and joyful and kind and loving and great to be around. But on the inside, if people see who we truly are, some people, that could be cruel and mean and cold-hearted and and everything else that goes with it. And I feel that if we truly trust God, then we would be able to trust him enough where we could, not worry about what we eat. Because what Jesus tells us in this passage is that it's not, that nothing that enters from the outside can defile that person, but it's what comes out from within that can defile a person. So basically, we need to be careful of what we say towards others or of ourselves. We need to be careful of what we say, because what we say can hurt our reputation more than what we eat, more than what we consume. So, and then at the end, Jesus says, from within people, from their hearts come evil thoughts, unchastity, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, licentiousness, evil, envy, blasphemy, arrogance, folly. All of those negative thoughts, those are what can hurt us. Can hurt us, sometimes as much as the other person if not more, because we're the one that committed the act. We committed the grave sin. Now, obviously, obviously, like for instance, murder. You've permanently hurt not only the person that you. When someone commits murder, they're not just permanently hurting the victim, but they're also forever hurting the family, the family that was affected by it. And we need to be careful of of what we do, because the acts that we do can hurt us in the for permanently if it's something egregious such as murder, or if you live an unchaste life, that's not only does that hurt your body, but that also hurts your soul. That hurts, it hurts your soul more so than your body, because your body, your body's going to say, oh, whatever. But your soul is going to say, I just committed a grave sin. I got to go and confess that. And, well, there's nothing more I can really add. So, as I mentioned earlier, my schedule is going to change a little bit with this series of gospel reflections. I ended up not doing my Q&A because I didn't get any responses for that, so that might be done at some other point in time. I don't know. But for right now, gospel reflections will be for the majority of the time on Wednesdays. If it's not Wednesday, I will try to get it on Thursday. I'm not going to wait until Sunday to do it. And enjoy the rest of this holiday weekend and stay safe. And I will see you all with another video on Wednesday. So until then, have a blessed Sunday. God bless, and goodbye.